Hey folks, how are you today? Welcome to another edition of Magnet Marketers, where we help small, medium-sized businesses learn how to become a magnet with our marketing instead of a bullhorn. This week, we are diving into breaking through content brain freeze, how to get past I have nothing new to say and create great content for your brand. All right, so that's what we want to dive into. We're your hosts and guest speakers today. My name is Mike Gingrich, president of web software company Digital Hill, better known for our Facebook apps, contest software, tabsite.com. Maybe you've heard about our new one, Waftio, for lead capture on websites. And then today, instead of my beautiful, brilliant co-host Jessica Phillips, I am joined by her inbound marketing director, as Jessica's away at Content Marketing World. So I am pleased to have with me Terrence Keyser, her inbound marketing director. Say hello, Terrence.
How's it going, guys? Hello out there.
All right. So a little different flow for us today, the two guys going at it, and but looking forward to this, just because a topic that I think is very relevant.
It's a very relevant topic, absolutely.
Yeah. And I go through it as well. So I mean, this is something that I've the brain freeze. So we need to break it down a little bit more as we get started to talk about what it is we're describing, and so brain freeze, I think, is that time where you're starting to look at the calendar, the content marketing calendar, social media calendar, and you're stuck, and you're just not sure. Man, I'm blank. This is routine.
You've basically chewed and ate and got rid of so much content that now you don't even know what's next. You're at a brain freeze. It's like drinking a slushie too fast. You can't keep drinking the slushie if you have a brain freeze. And I think companies are finding out that eventually you run into a situation where you might have hit a subject too much, and you run out of content, and that's just when you have to shift. You have to shift gears and try and find another route, and that's usually where it helps companies if they have multiple services or multiple products, and you can easily do that.
Yep. It's kind of realizing that there was just too much of a zone, that there's nothing new, there's nothing fresh. It's went flat, it's went stale.
Yep,
I think so. And we were just talking about this beforehand as we were preparing to go live here, and we both have had experiences with this with clients, and you had a good point on kind of what sometimes causes that. And I think a little bit of the routineness of it. You want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So essentially, me and Mike had a just brief discussion when we first got on here, when really you fall into a timeline, whether you're working with an agency or not, but say you've been actively on social media for a year or 2 years. You're posting every day, every other day. And you've done that. You're consistent about it. Well, now you're into this trap. Okay, well, now what else do I post about? I've seen to just keep repeating myself. Every March I put all the birthdays out. I put all the team anniversaries out. I put the same type of March content out, but it never really changes. And that's the brain freeze we're talking about.
Yep. And I think that because things change online as well. So even if you think that you're doing okay, you need to kind of stop and evaluate it, because the social media landscape didn't stand still. It changed in that past year.
Facebook, the algorithm for Facebook is constantly changing. We've seen a couple plays by Twitter where Twitter's trying to change how its platform finds content and how users can be connected with your brand. We've seen Instagram try and change the game a little bit. So a lot of things change. I think sometimes businesses just feel like it can be very stagnant and very complacent playground sometimes. But I think that's where you need to have people on your team who can find those alternative methods to creating content. We kind of just hit it on there. If you're typing out blogs and say it's just kind of the same geared blog content, well, that's when you reach out to someone else in your industry, reach out to a collaborator and say, hey, we've kind of done a lot of blog topics on this subject. Could you maybe look and see if you have a different opinion and maybe write about that different opinion? that could be an easy way to get you a new article and
Yep.
maybe even open up your eyes to some new points, and then create additional blog articles off of that.
Yes, yes. And, kind of a point related to that is that there can be something fresh and invigorating about a banter back and forth. So even if you have two people that play off each other's ideas, I mean, this is what we're doing right now, but think of that in a blog article, and that can have the same value when two people give their take on a couple key issues. Then there can be an exchange or adding value.
It's an open dialogue. You get an open dialogue about what you can do with your marketing, and really, I think the number one step to take first for brand, if they feel like they're stuck on social media, is to get your marketing department or get the people around that are on those platforms and are designing the content and creating all that content, get them all together and get one of those hackathons together and actually come up with some new content and really take a step back and see, what can we do to improve our video on Facebook? What can we do to improve, our photos or our branding, or, what are some things that are missing on our social media platforms that we could do better at? You look back at your previous campaigns. Is there a campaign that you could redo? Something that, we didn't quite execute that distribution really good on the email side. We did really good on the social media side, yep. But they didn't get relatable. They didn't get intact, and it was out of tune. Rerun an old campaign. There's nothing saying you just because you ran a campaign that you can never run it again.
Right.
I mean, we live in an era of optimization. If something doesn't work the way you want it to, fix it.
Yep. Now, I give you a quick example of somebody that's not necessarily in the blog and content space, but in the video space. This is a YouTube channel. It's a YouTube channel that I use regularly, and it's a fitness one, Has Fit, and they've been doing videos for years. They create all types of workout videos, so by, you want to work on your arms today, you want to work on a total body workout, you want to work on your abs, all those kind of things. But you would think that they could almost come up with brain freeze. I mean, once you've got,
there's only so many bicep exercises that you could do without repeating the bicep exercises.
Yep. But these guys are doing well at kind of reinventing themselves, and so right now they're just kind of coming through a rebranding of their videos. So it still has the same guy, Coach Kozak, and he's leading you through, but the backdrop has changed. They got the timer on the video now, so they've tweaked some things.
So they're tweaking some things in the actual video that makes it look like new content, but in reality, some of it's not new content. It's just a rebranded effort to make their videos look different.
It is, and as well, I'll give them credit, because you think of this, just like you said, like how many 15-minute total body workouts can you do? But I think they're watching what's happening out there, and they're seeing some trends in the fitness realm, so they're incorporating new exercises, activities, things that people might see somewhere else and be interested in. So they're, again, you're watching that, and you take that back to your typical business. So I like what they're doing. They're example of breaking out of that freeze and saying, we've got this great library of content. What do we do now? But they're continuing to up their game, keep it sharp.
For example, that actually brings me, library of content. Everyone knows about the Ask Gary Vee show, where Gary Vee will interview, or he'll basically let people ask questions on the show. He'll say the answer. Well, recently he has what, 200 some episodes of the Ask Gary Vee show. That's a lot of shows to watch individually. If you just caught 150 and wanted to go back and watch everything up to 150. Well, now you can actually go to his website and actually put in a question to see if it's been answered, and actually then go straight to that video of where he answered that question. That would be an idea of how you break that brain freeze by allowing. That's a solution to let your listeners and your audience find things that have already been answered without being rhetorical and repeating yourself by doing the same questions maybe 100 episodes later.
That's
So
good.
I thought that was a great idea by Gary Vee, was to instill that type of search. People do it with their blogs. I know now, Marketing Group, we have a search portal for our blogs, but for him to do it for the Ask Gary Vee show, I thought that's next level. And that kind of broke the brain freeze on people that are now just catching up to the Ask Gary Vee show, who are maybe thinking of questions that were asked 100 episodes later.
Okay. So which is a video play on the evergreen kind of concept, because that's what your evergreen's what you're talking about with your blog, and so it's making it searchable, so it's living out there. They can find topics, content, but now he's done that with his videos.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good.
So, another way that we've just thought about, and how I'm working with one client, for the longest time, he was doing the real estate market updates via blog, which is a great tool. Nothing wrong with that, because it's going to live on the internet forever. And you'll be able to go back 5 years from now and be able to look up market updates that this agent put out through the real estate broker. Now we're going to do videos. We're going to take it to the next level and say, you know what, instead of just being behind a keyboard and typing these out, I think right now we're in an era where people like to see face-to-face interaction and be able to see who they're talking to and who's talking to them. So now we're going to do video and kind of see where that goes, and kind of take that to the next level. Because it is sort of, you get into a habit of just doing the same thing month to month to month. And now we're going to change it up. And, now that we're going to invite the audience in to ask questions, be involved, be engaged, we may end up finding a new source of content that we haven't even touched that we need to create. Because the audience is going to come to us and say, they're going to ask questions and be curious. And so it could just open a whole new can of worms for us that we maybe haven't been paying attention to. So
excellent. Now, I think when there's kind of a marrying of two principles here. The one is knowing your audience, and that's something that we've talked about in this Magnet Marketer show many times. Is that to be of value, you really got to know who you want to talk to, a lot about them, so you can speak their language, speak directly to them. So knowing who that target is. But I think that the second piece that we're trying to marry here, which can help you break content freeze, is because that may not have changed since 2 years ago. Your ideal target may still look very much the same, but social has changed, and so it's marrying those two together. What is relevant to that person? What's helpful? What's going to reach them? And then what's current on social today? What avenues? And that's what we've gotten into. I just did a presentation last week to a tourism industry. Okay. And it was about Facebook Live. And basically, that was my premise, was that, you may have some of the same types of things going on. You've got some great events at your hotel. Maybe you have a new, addition, a conference area, outdoor area. But I said that the presentation of that may be what is needed now and needs to be different. And so by going live with that, instead of,
instead of just posting photos, you can use Facebook Live to interact and make a new piece of content that, allows firsthand people to see, if it is a hotel or something, they can do a live video inside their big ballroom with their sales specialist right there who knows everything about events because he's been doing it for 20 years. Kind of just turning the light switch on the process and opening up to your consumer and to your audience how everything actually works. So
exactly. Yep. And I think one of the big pieces today is finding ways to bring your content alive. And because there's a lot of was it Mark Schaefer was the content coach, and just talks about the challenge of fresh content today, that there's so much content out there. It's being reproduced, and so how do you get yours to rise to the top?
I mean, just look at the battle that Pinterest has. Pinterest is a majority platform where people are repinning things and not pinning their own content. So Pinterest says, if you want to succeed at Pinterest, pin your own content. come up with your own organic content, and you're gonna be successful at Pinterest. Obviously, the rules still apply that it's got to be great content with a purpose, and it's got to be targeted at somebody where that content is useful to them. But that's one of the things with Pinterest is that it is the platform itself. A lot of people do more repinning than they do pinning. It's almost even kind of with Twitter's problem, where more people will tweet or they'll retweet or like content, but not actually tweet their own content. Yeah. So it's just finding ways to take, if you've been a big player in Facebook, find a way to make the content shorter and get it on Twitter.
Okay. Yep.
That's one scenario. Take your content, shorten it up, and be able to find a way to get it on Twitter. Follow your competitors, follow your industry on Twitter, be a part of the industry conversation. That's one of the successes that one of my clients had was tying the broker page into the industry itself. And they get hits just from other agencies and plus individuals. So that was a big game changer. There was that I didn't know. I had no idea that the real estate market was so big on Twitter, but it's a driving place of conversation.
Yep.
So
no, I think it's that's brilliant, because one of the key pieces here is that when you can get stuck in a rut and you can think the same way about what you want to share, and that becomes flat to you, can become flat to your audience. But by trying to find some type of outside perspective to allow that in, a fresh set of eyes, that can help you see it differently, to give you new angles. So again, if you're struggling with that content brain freeze, it's time to talk to somebody, whether maybe it's a digital consultant, it's somebody else, just to get a little fresh perspective on that.
And one thing is we don't say that you should go out and copy competitors or copy people in your industry. But there's never a bad thing to go out and benchmark and to see what they're doing versus what you're doing. And try and re-engineer maybe something of what they've done in the past. Because to think that you've thought of everything is, I think you're taking away possibilities. So you definitely can't have an attitude where I've done everything I can, I don't know what else I can post about, and just shut down. I think that's the bad way to look at it. Easily go talk to a social media expert. Just say, hey, here's what we've done in the last 1 or 2 years. Is there anything that you see that we could do different? Any suggestions, and just start the conversation. Have an open dialogue about it. So
yep. I think related to what you said, look at not only just competitors, but look at different but parallel industries. So an industry that has some similarities to yours, but maybe it's not a direct competitor, because if you see some people in there, that can give you fresh ideas as well. And it's just about seeing things differently. A personal example again is that we brought an exchange student into our household for this school year, right? So that's a gal from Spain living with us, and totally forces us to stop and think about some things we just take for granted at times.
Or any processes that you take for granted.
Exactly.
And the fact that, that student and that individual has no idea of the way of life in America.
Normal.
What is normal life? There might be some things that are the same, maybe breakfast or lunch or dinner. The type of food probably isn't always the same. But then neither is, traveling, communication. That's the perfect scenario right there, where as a family you get into a brain freeze or you get into a routine, and then you throw somebody in that has no idea what your family's about, what your habits are, and now you're gonna. I'm sure you've already caught maybe 3 or 4 things where you realize, I can't believe we're actually doing that. Right. Or where did that habit come from?
Yep. And then we have to stop and say, okay, all right, did we explain this with this A, B, and C and D? Yep. Oh, we did not. We we kind of had this common understanding just among us, and that's what we can get in this. I mean, you can assume your audience knows things. You can assume that,
I think, and just for to go back and say, on Facebook, for example, everyone, it's no secret that the organic reach on Facebook is being hijacked by the paid version of Facebook. So it could even be an unfair statement to say, if you think your audience has saw every single piece of content you've ever put out, I think even that is, you're cutting yourself short, because chances are they haven't. I think the idea of evergreen content is, what you can do is go back and optimize it. If you've done a blog post, I actually bring up an example. I did a blog post 2 years ago about construction and social media, and why your construction company should be in social media. Okay. By far one of the most popular blogs I've written, and continues to drive traffic to Now Marketing Group's blog. It could even be ideal for me to go back right now and write a second piece to that blog and highlight some of the different platforms that are now a player in social media, and mention those, and do a part 2 of that blog.
Yep.
That is breaking the brain freeze. And
then perhaps you not only, in addition to the blog post, but you deliver an introduction about it via video for Facebook.
Yep.
I mean,
you could do
then using that current.
Then you could take part 1 and part 2. Make sure they're more aligned for today's social media standards. I don't know what I said about Facebook 2 years ago in that blog. Now it makes me wonder what I did say, and now I might need to go back and fix it. But now you could even create a white paper or create a download based off those 2 blogs alone, and continue that person down the marketing funnel, because that's another thing. You got to look at your buyer's journey. Look at where your personas are. Look at where they are in the funnel. If you've been spending the last 2 years at the top of the funnel, but haven't done anything for your people in the middle or at the bottom, well, there you go. That's how you break up your brain freeze of content. Focus on the middle of the funnel. Focus on the bottom. Yep. I know Jessica is a brand advocate on creating a marketing army. What have you done to get testimonials? What have you done to get brand advocates for you? Those are all other content ideas that you may haven't approached yet.
Yep. No, I like that. Trying to evaluate your content from the spot in the funnel where it was directed to, and I think that's that's a critical piece. I think another piece to come back to is to ignite your content once you have once you published it. So again, you've got the blog post out there. You had some creativity there, but you're not done then. Take a look and evaluate the process of your sharing of that, and the way you try to launch
your process of distribution, which is something that I just the last month or two I've really kind of taken to heart a little bit, which is kind of pushed back some of the campaigns that I had ideas for, because I realized that it didn't matter if we did this campaign, the distribution for it isn't ready. I can't push out this great piece of content because I don't have the distribution channels set up properly. We haven't informed people on Facebook long enough. I haven't tweeted about it long enough. I don't have a Facebook cover photo that highlights this launch that's about to happen. And this is something that Gary Vaynerchuk he's really good at content distribution. Whether it's getting it on Instagram, getting it on Medium, getting it onto his own blog, putting it on LinkedIn, putting it on Snapchat, when I think of content distribution, he hits a home run in my world, because chances are I get an email about something that's going to be released today. And then the same day I see the Facebook post, I eventually see the Twitter post, and then I see it on his Instagram story, all in one day. Where sometimes I feel like it can take some companies, they'll send out the email of the launch. You'll see it on Facebook. Then a week later, you'll see it on Twitter. And then a week later, you'll see it on Instagram. And by then, it's kind of died out. And now you almost have to go on to the next campaign.
Yep.
So.
No, I like that. I think that, you know, it comes back to having great content, like we said, and evaluating that. So you might need some fresh perspective. You might want to do those interviews, and then it's taking a look at your distribution methods. So it's in trying to get some fresh eyes on that, some fresh perspective.
Your email, what's your email list look like? You know, is it updated? Have you got the latest email list?
Better be mobile friendly.
Oh, absolutely mobile friendly. Yes. You know, do you have your other social channel? Are you representing your social channels in that content? You know, I know whenever I'm actually on YouTube and you're watching, you know, Gary Vee's videos, you know, in his description box, he's got what the video is about, but at the bottom, it's got the URL to everything. I mean, if you want to go to his Twitter page, it's there. If you want to go to his Facebook page, it's there. If you want to go to his website, it's there. You know, don't cut any corners when it comes to your content distribution and making sure that all of your every piece of your audience can have a chance to see your content.
Don't assume. Don't assume. Yeah.
Don't assume. Don't assume at all.
No,
you know, I think though you really hit the point just a second ago. Your quality, I think the quality of content still plays a key role in all of this. And if you created content a year ago that you know isn't as good as the content that you're putting out now, go back and redo the content. Just go back and redo it. It's not going to hurt anything. If anything, you're going to make something that maybe was mediocre into something that's a lot better. I just don't see anything wrong with that. And your audience is probably going to love you because you probably have a completely different audience now than maybe what you did a year ago.
No, I think that's overlooked. I think people are scared to kind of go back and tweak some of their old content. And, you know, what you're saying is don't be. And there's value in that because you might have had some other content that was since then, but now you go back and you link to that within this one, and it makes more sense.
There's no content police out there. No one's gonna yell at you for changing.
Hey, this one changed. Yeah.
We see it happen all the time in the media. You know, the media will have an old article, and maybe say two years from now something changes about this news story, and they'll repost the same link, but at the top of the article they'll put updated date and time. You know, do that. If you're worried about people maybe calling you out for changing your content, just you know, let them know what was updated. I don't think anyone's going to yell at you for updating content, especially, you know, when it comes to updating old blogs about Facebook, updating old blogs about Twitter, updating, you know, I know I have some blogs on there about Google Analytics right now that I could probably go back and look at and adjust to see, you know, is that side panel still the same look as it is right now as it was a year and a half ago? Probably not. You know, how many blog articles does even Now Marketing Group have? And this is something that I need to go back and look, but just on the top of my head, all the blog articles that point out the old cover, the top of the Facebook page, you know, that's just recently changed.
Right.
You know, going back and updating old content. In fact, the search engines will actually like it because it's not a stagnant page anymore. You didn't publish you published it on September 15th of 2013, haven't touched it since, and then you go in and you update it, and now the Google bot will recognize that you are updating an old page.
Yep.
So
the importance of getting out of the brain freeze is critical. You can be there, you can be flat, but don't stay there. I mean, take a look at who that audience is. Take a look at what's relevant today. Take a look at what you can adapt. You know, parallel really industries, all those pieces.
Look at your content and look at your content like you would yourself in a mirror. And if you don't like what you see, then change something. So,
yep. Now I got to go into even one more brief example with social media sharing, and that is from some of my own sharing. You know, I kind of got into a rut with sharing quite a few links, you know, and so took some time, dove into some of the insights, analytics of those, and just saw the reach of link posts continuing to trend downward, right? But then happened to notice a little bit of a unique trend this past August here, where a few posts that I did with images
Right.
Okay, so posting to Facebook with an image.
With an image, but not the link preview image.
Yeah, but having the link in the description. So it was posted as a photo to a photo album.
Right. So, yep.
Began to have more reach. And that had been something that
I know
had trended downward.
For the longest time, it was always recommended to have you put in the link so that the link preview box and the image shows up, but then you had to remove the link from the post.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a double, because Facebook flagged it as you were trying to be spammy by having technically a double link. But that's interesting.
That was going to be, and so if you did it that way, it was clean, but it was still a link post.
Right.
So this is just, I'm just kind of watching this trend now, because all of a sudden that reach has been rising up for me again to post a photo that way instead of a link.
But Mike, this goes back into it. As a marketer, I think you have to you have to A/B test stuff. I mean, you just can't play the platforms as the platforms. We know some people that have played around with posting late at night. Instead of doing the 9 to 5, they wait until after. They don't make any post before 2 o'clock. They wait until after 9. They wait until after 5 o'clock to make their post, or they do it really early in the morning.
Okay.
You just play around with it. Don't ever take just because other people are doing it, you have to do it that way.
Yeah.
No one says
because it worked 8 months ago, it should be working now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, that's a great thing, and I'm gonna have to try that out with a couple of. In fact, I have one client where I can definitely try that out and be able to post photos and put the link in the content box instead. So I will. I'll kind of see what kind of I play around with it and see what I get.
Yep. So, folks, it's all about kind of breaking out of that brain freeze, and you gotta find some freshness. I mean, that's why people step back. That's why they say get up from your desk. That's why they say go outside. And same thing with your content, with your social media. You got to find ways to do that. Step back, step outside, get perspective.
Just with your whole marketing strategy, I think you have to consistently take a step back and just look at the overall big picture. Because the reality is some businesses are not only on social media, but they're doing things on television. They might still be having their hands in some print, or they might be doing some things on the radio or television. So as a marketing plan as a whole, you have to be able to step back and say, what I'm doing on social media aligning with the other parts of my marketing? Is my other parts of my marketing aligning with what I'm putting on social media? There's always questions you can be asking yourself when it comes to your marketing strategy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of winding us down here, Terrence, here, as 30 minutes rolls by again.
It rolls by so fast every single time, man.
Absolutely does here. Absolutely.
We could go on for like an hour with this stuff.
Yep. So if you're gonna try to sum up a couple key things that you want people to take away from this, what stood out to you? What do you want to leave them with, and go through one more time?
Like I said just earlier, go back through your old content, and is now even raised my own eyebrow to some of the old blogs that I've written. I'm going to go back and look at them. Go back and see what you can refresh and update. It's not going to hurt anything. If anything, it's going to give you then another reason to share that content on the social media again. And then the second thing is, we've attacked it a little bit better here. We're sending out drip campaigns about magnet marketers. Dive into drip campaigns. Align your lists with the marketing funnels that you have and where people fall under those funnels, and then generate some drip campaigns for those personas. Yeah. And use the content that you already have to make sure they can get that content. So, yep. Email. The idea of email marketing is not dead. Email marketing just needs to be optimized. And if you're not doing it correctly, no one will open up your email.
Yep. So, package it differently, right?
Yep.
Think about package it differently.
You know, I think of, you know, when I think of quality content, I like to think of, you know, the movie Tommy Boy, where he talks about the guarantee on the box. You know, everyone wants to see that guarantee. No, people just want honest content, and they want you to help them solve their answers. So when you do that, you know, they're going to come back to you all the time. So as soon as you get away from that, they're going to stop listening to you.
Yep. And you've probably got a lot of it out there already, folks. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be some brilliant new piece. You've probably got a lot of it out there.
You don't have to reinvent the four-wheel car.
But you might be able to put together 4 of those into an ebook. You might be able to add something into one of those and link them different ways. Final statement here is that we were working with a client that is selling on Amazon and helping them get listed for their products on Amazon. Amazon told him that said, if you want to differentiate yourself, package yours differently. And what he meant to say was that everyone's selling, you know, 3 of this, 5 of this, 7 of this. He said, sell a 6-pack, sell a 4-pack, because no one else is, and that can help you. So it was packaging the pieces differently.
Well, I hope we had some e-commerce people going to listen to this down the road, because that's a bombshell from the Amazon. From Amazon themselves. Package your content. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
I have to keep that tidbit in the back of my head.
Find a new way to package it. Yeah. All right. So, hey, folks, this is a wrap here on Magnet Marketers. And to stay in touch with us offline, I'm going to post you can always find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Magnet Marketers. And we're always putting out the next event. We're always Tuesdays at 4, but we'll put the topic out there. We'll post that so you can have a direct link to it. And through that, you can come over to the page on Now Marketing Group to get signed up to get it via email.
And one thing we had here was a blog here with the shift for future content. So check out that there, and that'll help you even introduce you to some other content that we have on the page. And feel free to, you know, use the search functionality and find some previous blogs that we've done about content creation. So
there you go.
Awesome.
All right, folks, break out of that brain freeze. Thanks, Terrence, for being with me today.
Hey, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you hopping on.
All right. Take care.
See ya.